Good morning. This is Dr. Mayorga, and I am back with the last installment of what it is to lose your job, or you lose your job. Now, what's next? And my last video that I did, and I put that up yesterday, talked about the stages. And today I'm going to talk about the mental health challenges that occur when someone is going through this particular situation. And again, I want to reiterate that I don't want to, when I talk about a loss, and I talk about a loss of a job, a house, I do not want to dismiss the fact that there is a loss of a human person. And I've been comparing it to the grief process. But I do want to state that the loss of a human person is so much more intense and more long drawn out than it is to lose a job or a house. Or we can recuperate from things like a loss of a job. You'll eventually find another job or decide what your life wants to be. Or when you lose your possessions or a home, a car, those things are replaceable. It certainly does not, it's not on the same level as losing a loved one. And again, but this particular little series does not focus on the grief of the loss of a loved one. I've done those type of videos, and I've done workshops on that. And certainly I wanted to premise it by saying I am not doing a comparison that the loss of a house is the same as the loss of a human person. What I am saying is that grief is grief in whatever the situation is. For the grief process, it will be more intense in losing a loved one as it could be for losing a job. Or it might be just as intense. It just depends on the person that this is occurring for. But I thought about it, and I always think about afterwards when I do my little videos, did I share information appropriatly? Because I am a professional person, because I am licensed, because I am a counselor educator. I've been in the field about research, stating facts, being very careful, being ethical, making sure that the information that's being presented, when it's facts, state that it's facts. When it's opinion, state that it's an opinion. And so I just wanted to clarify that before I go forward in reference to discussing mental health challenges. There's also a couple of other things that this does happen because it's happening to me. When you're no longer working in the profession that you went to school for or decided that was your profession, you begin to think how you're going to stay up to date, the cutting edge of that particular career. For example, counseling, it's always evolving. We're always reading a new book. We're always teaching our students new and up and coming ways. Here's a very good example. AI is becoming very huge in the counseling field, and there's positives and negatives. In fact, I've done several workshops about using AI in counseling already, and just read an article the other day about how there was a young person using ChatGPT, I think, and was given information on how to commit suicide. So now the parents are suing that particular entity. And so there's a lot of discussion and dialogue about how AI is influencing counseling. And so as a counselor educator, I was in the middle of it, teaching my students, talking about it. When you're removed from that environment, whether it be as a counselor educator, nursing, any position, you want to stay up to date. So how do you do that? And I've thought about, should I continue to do conferences? Should I, continue to write articles? And so that's one of the issues when you lose your job and maybe don't get another job right away. Are you going to lose the cutting edge aspect of your profession? Are you going to forget the knowledge? And other things too. If you no longer have a job, are people going to think that you're available and that you're going to be around to maybe help other family members or babysit or whatever? And so that's another issue that also may occur. And what about your mental sharpness? Excuse me. Especially if you're older, how do you stay sharp and continue to have the knowledge and understanding to dialogue with people? Maybe you've been out of the profession for a while and you meet up with someone that's still in the profession and they're talking about a new and exciting theory that is being utilized and you're not quite sure what that's all about. So you've got to think about how are you going to stay sharp in the profession even though you're not working in the profession at that time. And so, and I also want to talk about the mental challenges that we deal with. And one of those things is isolation, social isolation. Because a lot of times in our particular jobs, we have acquaintances and that we interact with every day when we go to work, or you have a meeting and you exchange ideas and you talk, you dialogue about what's going on and what's coming down in the pathway or what the future entails about that particular career. So you're constantly feeling stimulated. Your cognition is being stimulated. And when you're not doing that, you're going to need to find something else that will continue to give you mental stimulation. And the whole idea of what now? One of the things that I'm dealing with is, should I go volunteer somewhere? Should I offer my services pro bono? What am I going to do so that I stay sharp? And social isolation is something that does occur. You feel like you're not part of the crowd anymore, and what are you going to do, and how are you going to handle that? And that's some of the mental health challenges that can occur, that can add to the depression or the anxiety and the anger when you're isolated and don't know which direction to go in. Another one is financial stress. I'm at a position in my life where I'm not dealing with that, but people that lose a job and that's the only income that was coming in, you are going to be under a financial stress. If life has been difficult and you haven't been able to save some money, and nobody is really understanding, nobody is really offering to help, and maybe it becomes an extended thing. You think, oh, in a couple of weeks I'll find another job, and all of a sudden 6 months later you have a car payment, you have a house payment, you have an apartment payment, you've got to buy food, you got to take care of yourself, you got to take care of bills, and all of a sudden that creates a mental health challenge when you're finding yourself under a financial stress. So with that said, we think about, all right, well, we've talked a lot about the downside of losing your job, and my videos have been about these little steps and grieving and all of that. But what do we do next? How do we get past it? So there are some coping strategies that I have found personally myself that it helped me, but it's also, research indicates that this is a good way to do it. Number one, seek support. I'm not talking about seeking support so that you can just bash the company that that you were working for and no longer are working for, or that you're going to talk the ear off of a person, but you're never going to have some kind of an action plan. I'm talking about seeking support of people that are wise, people that you trust, people that are ethical, people that understand, that have a good ability to communicate, will engage in a good dialogue with you, will force you to see the pros and the cons rather than to agree with you. Yeah, that was a horrible thing, and they're horrible people, and they feed you negativity so that by the time you get through talking to them, you're feeling worse than when you first started talking to them. So a good support system can be talking to a person that is a coach, life coach, that can give you some ideas of how you can handle that. One thing that I think a lot of people don't even think about is going and doing a career assessment. I've spoken to many people who are wanting to become something or other. They've chosen a career, and they've never even contemplated doing a career assessment to see if that is something that would fit their personality. Believe it or not, career assessments really take into account, by the questions that they ask, who you are, what you would like to do, what would fit your personality type, and they are right on the money. In fact, I've done some research with grad students who never have taken a career assessment. They're in the program, in the counseling program, only to have to be told that that's not their forte. They're not doing very well. They can't pick up the skills. They're not, passing the courses. And it turns out that that's just not what would fit who they are. So one of the things that I would suggest is go take a career assessment. Every student in high school, a long time ago, it just shows my age, counselors would do career assessments. I don't know if they do it now. They may still be doing it. There might be some school counselors listening to this video and could come back and say to me, yeah, we still do them. Or they send the students somewhere to go get it. You can go to the college. You can go to colleges, junior colleges, and go to the career center and say, I'd like to do a career assessment. And they'll let you do a career assessment there. And those things are right on the money. I remember many years ago, one of my daughters wasn't quite sure what she wanted to do. So I sent her, and she was in high school. So I sent her to the career center at one of the junior colleges where we were living. And it talked about her being very artistic. And she would make a good florist, a good dancer, a good this, a good that. And she just kind of thought, oh, that's not for me. Well, it turns out that it was on the money. She entered a dance studio, got very excited, and she's got a wonderful talent. And she continues to do that even now. She works to dance. And she's an excellent dancer and has performed in many different places. So it was on the money, even though when you get those answers as a young person, you're thinking, I don't really like that. So when someone loses their job, whether they're a young adult, middle-aged, or even older, such as myself, it behooves us to go back and do a career assessment and double check. Am I on the right lead, or are there other areas that I haven't explored that could lead me in a different direction and give me a lot of satisfaction? Okay? Another one is focus on routine. Get up at the same time, do the things that you would do, keep yourself on a routine. A lot of times because of our emotional upheaval, we may want to stay in bed a long time. We may not, we find ourselves sleeping a lot or laying around or not doing anything. And it's very easy to get into that habit. I think I mentioned in one of my other videos that I rest, but it's only for a limited time. And then I get up. I have a routine. I do my treadmill every day. I go out, and I'm a gardener. I go out and water my plants. I work on my flowers. I have a routine inside the house. I go out to maybe have lunch. The other day there was a vintage movie showing at a theater. I went to see that because I like to go. I like movies. I read a lot. So I've tried very hard to maintain my routine, and that makes it easier for us to continue to put one foot in front of the other and feel normal rather than out of whack because of that. So I'm going to end this video with this. What you're experiencing, what I've experienced, is not, it's again a possibility, an opportunity for personal and professional growth. You can look at things from a different perspective. Surround yourself with people that are going to force you to look at things realistically and from a different perspective. Do not surround yourself with people that are going to lean into your side, and people think that they're doing great by telling you, oh yes, you're right, oh yes, you're right. I think it shakes our foundation much more in a better way when someone says, wait a minute, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And helps us to re-evaluate what we thought it could only go this way when there's many other different options. So with that said, I want to say thank you very much for listening to my videos. This finishes off this little very cathartic way for me to handle what has happened in my life for the last couple of months, and refocuses me to go forward and determine what's my next step. And I'll keep everybody informed because I love doing these videos and enjoy sharing information with my audience, whether the audience is small or large or in between. It is an opportunity. Someone said to me, videotaping is like video journaling. As you talk about it, you get a chance to process it, and it becomes beneficial. So think about it from that perspective. And may everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you.